Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a rant slash review of the best game ever, Heavenly Sword. Don't let the name fool you. I don't know why don't let the name fool you. It's not heavenly in any way possible. And the only reason that this music's playing in the background because of reasons, so shut up and then listen to the music. This game is one of the worst games I've played, and that's probably because I don't play a lot of games. I mean a lot of good bad games. I try to stay away from them as possible. But this one just okay, let's cover the controls. When you first play the game drops you into a control where you have like 100 people all trying to kill you at the same time. And the game doesn't tell you anything of how to control. It doesn't stop for a second and say you press square to hit. Oh, I must say this other thing. It's a PS3 exclusive. And the only way I would recommend you getting this is if you've got nothing else to play. Or you just want to torture yourself. Heavenly Sword is not the worst game in the world, but it damn is one of my worst games ever. It's the worst game I've played. Let's talk about the controls. The controls are sloppy as hell, and you figure this out through this tutorial. If you can call it that. The game doesn't tell you to do the game doesn't tell you how to do a fucking thing. It barely tells you how to reverse how to counter an enemy's attack. And even then it does a bad job of that. You press circle to counter an attack. You press circle when a guy's doing a blue attack, or when he's doing a red attack, you can't dodge. Now here's the annoying thing. You have to go right up to the enemy and wait for him to hit you, then press circle. If you press circle, the game might let you hit him. Kill him. If not, I hope you like getting punched in the face, because that's what's going to happen. And then you got the red guys. When they do the red attack, you can't reverse it at all. And even because you have to go up close to even reverse the attack. I'm going to say that lots in this review. When they go up close, you have to press circle to reverse their attack. But even when you press circle, it fucking won't. Anyway, with the red attack, when you hit it, if you try to dodge, you still get hit some fucking how. I don't know why, but you still get hit. Even if you're on the left and he's on the far right and he does his red attack, you still get hit. Yeah. And then you have Naruto's Heavenly Sword and this spinning blade thing. Not spinning blade thing. It's weapons which he they're like a chain-ish weapon. No, the Heavenly Sword hits hard, but it's the closest. You have to get in very close range, which is annoying because when you hit an enemy who's doing a red attack, it doesn't break them out of their attack. They still hit you, and when they do their red attack, they take no damage while they're in that mode. When you go to attack, if someone hits you, your attack stops, dead, gone. It just stops dead in its tracks. That's not even fucking fair. And then when you do the light attack, which does the least amount of damage, but it has a good range on it, you'll be using that most of the time. Because that weapon is long range, and other times you'll just be gang banged by a bunch of enemies, and you have no idea what the fuck to do, so you end up doing that. And it works, but it takes forever for someone to die. You have to hit them about 10 times before they die. Although the best bit is, after you kill one person, you can just pick up that body and throw them at the people. It's an instant kill. Sure, you can pick up other things like a shield, which offers you no protection and is only used to be thrown, or a spear, which offers you no protection and is only used to be thrown. And when you throw them and you hold the throw button when you throw them, you get this little thing where it slows down and you can actually control where it's going. It uses the PS3 motion control for this. And the PS3 motion control on my end didn't work because of my controller, I guess, because it's not got motion controls in it. So there is an option, but thankfully there is an option to take the motion control off and then use the left analog stick instead. That was helpful, because if I didn't have that, I would have died. But the shield's controls, when you throw it, it doesn't work. It slams. It's so soft. If you turn right, it goes whoosh. Right into a whoosh, right into a wall. Where the spear is so fucking slow. It's like, I'm turning, I'm turning. Oh, I've turned right into a wall. Good job, dick. You're like. So the throwing mechanics are shit. The controls are. How do you put these controls into words? Well, I got the instruction book. What the fuck are this? Up, down, left, right. What the fuck are they saying? This is why I have the music on, in case I stop talking. Anyway, so the main the controls are stiff as fuck. Even when you walk, it feels stiff because she like walks like tip tap tip tap. You feel like you're wearing high heels. It just feels sluggish. And the worst thing is that's the main controls of the game. You'll be playing for most of the game. I say most because there's actually two gameplay styles. One where you control. Okay, let me talk about the main character. The main character's name is Naruto, and then you play. She's a girl, by the way. Yes, a game with a female protagonist. That's something which should be seen a lot more in games, but it's not. I never understood that. But maybe this is why, because she is supposed to be a female protagonist, but I never got that. She's so bland as a character in general. She has her motives, which change between fucking cutscenes, apparently. She wants to save her father. Now she wants revenge. Now she wants to protect the Heavenly Sword. Now she wants to own the Heavenly... It makes no sense. The story... The story's not going to drive you any closer to the game after you play it for an hour. The only reason I played it fully is because I wanted to get my money's worth out of this game when I bought it. I did not get my money's worth out of this game. Ugh. And then you play, the second character you play as is Kai. I hope I said that right, it doesn't say her name in the instruction manual that I can see. But she has this other thing called Twin Twang. Yes, that's a weird name. It's basically, she has like this archer thing where she can fire arrows. And you might have heard that I complained about when you fire like a spear or a shield, the controls are fucking finicky as hell. When you play as her, she has got the best controls in the game. Not only can she jump over, she can't really jump. She can jump over obstacles, which helps. And then she can, when you fire her arrow, she got unlimited arrows. You can just go fucking apeshit. When she's got the arrows, you can just fire them, and then you can control them perfectly. Like this is the best control, but it only lasts for one fucking level. And even then, you switch between her and Naruto, and just sometimes it's not even that smooth. It's like, okay, I found the Heavenly Sword. Naruto's nine. Now it's Naruto's turn. You play as Naruto now. Yes. Who decided? It has this time. It has this. And then there are other times where you're expected to take down all the enemies without killing one of them. This is the only time where the fucking reverse actually works, where the game is actually worth playing. And I actually had fun with Kai's bits because they were worth playing. And the problem is, one level, never again. One level, never again. Bullshit. So the controls, one of them is half good, one of them is good, one of them is bad, and sadly the game thinks you like the bad controls better than the actual good controls. And I like this because when you play as Kai, they got a lot out of her control schemes in a very short time, and that does feel like this should have been her own little game in herself, in general. But then you play as Naruto, and Naruto is not my favourite character at all. She has stiff control, stiff movement, and then you have puzzles. When the game introduces you puzzles, and I say that term loosely, because the puzzles realise pause switch, get a shield and hit the target. Now when you pull the switch, you have 10 seconds to hit the target. It doesn't sound like a lot, but then you have to get the shield, which takes you 5 seconds, and then Naruto picks up, which takes her 2 seconds, so you have only 3 seconds to hit the actual target. And even then, you have to be precise on this. You have to hit it right in the right mark and at the right time, or else it's not gonna fucking work. Oh, you got the score fight. Sorry, he's playing the game. Anyway, so the controls are bullshit. There. That's it in general. And then you have the story. Now I said the story is not that good. And now the reason I want to touch on the story, I'm going to switch to the boss fights in the end after the end of the story. Let's try to wrap up the story. Okay, Naruto and a bunch of her who gives a fuck are made protecting the heavenly sword. Her father is in charge of this. Name, who gives a shit. And so he gives Naruto the what happened to her mother. She died. How? Game never tells you. It tells you, but you forget it instantly. So she's assigned to protecting the heavenly sword, and then her father gets kidnapped, so she uses the heavenly sword, which her father specifically said to protect it, never use it. So she uses it because she's a rebel. Fucking shit. And then she goes to save her father and the other people from her clan, I guess, who got kidnapped. Only her and Kai didn't get kidnapped, and then Naruto after saving her, Naruto eventually saves her father and all her people, and they get out. But sadly, she ends up fighting Slug Queen or whatever her name is. The first boss fight. Now let's talk about this boss fight. This boss fight is handled very badly. She uses waves to attack you, this girl, in the second half of the boss. The first half of the boss is pretty easy. The second half, she uses waves to attack Naruto. So you have to dodge out the waves, but the problem is the waves take up half the fucking screen. So when you try to dodge out the waves, you get hit by it, and they follow you. So you can't dodge it, there's no way to get to it, and you have to get closer to even have a chance of hitting the person. So that's stupid in its own right, and then... So that's a failed boss fight, and eventually get across that, and she managed to stab the slug girl with her heavenly sword, and then the heavenly sword drained her power, so she was knackered for a bit. Enough time from that, the generic main villain takes the heavenly sword from her and lock her up in prison instead of killing her, because he's an idiot. And then she competes in these trials where he says, where he gets like 13 other generic people out, and they all have a fight, and Naruto's in them, and whoever is the last one still alive gets released. So you play as Naruto in this bit. This bit is actually the time where the controls actually work. When Naruto was in prison, Kai came and Naruto wanted Kai to find her the heavenly sword so she can take it back. Because at this time Naruto doesn't have the heavenly sword. So Kai goes to do this, and this is when you switch between Naruto and Kai. So the first bit is you play as Naruto fighting these bad guys, and then after you win, you play as Kai fighting these bad guys, and after you win, you switch back to Naruto when she's fighting these even bigger bad guys, and after you win, you switch back to Kai where she's nearly a heavenly sword, and this is the most entertaining bit because you have this little lift kind of thing, and it breaks half the time, so you have to knock out the snipers quickly before they get to you. And then there's this bit where one of the ropes breaks, and then Kai's upside down, and that bit's the fun because you have to use controls upside down, and that makes it interesting. And that's the only time it ever does that. That's the only time where the game's worth playing. And after that, you switch between Naruto where you're in a must-lose fight, which means you can't win, even though the bigger bad guys are so easy to beat. Even though they're so easy to beat, they're apparently so difficult to kill. The game is fucking flawed if you can't tell. So after you lose because you can't win, Kai eventually comes back and gives you the heavenly sword while running away from this other bad guy. And once Kai gives Naruto the heavenly sword, she somehow manages to... She fights the main bad guy's big, dopey, dumb son. And then after you easily win the fight, this boss is the easiest out of all the bosses in the game, and that's because I don't know, the control. I don't know, it doesn't rely on reversals, it doesn't rely on counters, it relies more on reversals and good timing. Maybe that's something the whole game should have benefited from. Because this game has a clearly lack of timing. So you're supposed, and then afterwards you go back to generic gameplay where you run through area to area, all looking as bland and as same as everything else. And then you reach Kai and then she gets thrown. Then she's got this noose around her and then she gets thrown off this thing with the noose. So you think she's dead. And then you find the other boss who's just fucking cheap as hell. He can somehow fly with metal. Yes, you heard that. This boss has these knives at the back of him which allow him to fly. Yes, he has knives which on his back which allows him to fly. And this boss will constantly fly up, throw spears at you. You're supposed to dodge them, which is hard to do that because they're fucking homing. They home in on you, which makes no goddamn sense. And then afterwards you play as Kai for a little bit to snipe the boss, which is fucking easy because he's just like. That's the boss in a nutshell. And then you go back to generic, boring gameplay. And then you reach the final boss with Naruto, where the main bad guy wants to sends his whole army to attack Naruto and retrieve the Heavenly Sword. And then she finally gets the power of the Heavenly Sword, he kills half the men, and then he makes a deal with his pet crow to become devil or something. And they have to fight between heaven and hell, and then Naruto obviously wins through bad gameplay and just stupidness. And then she doesn't kill him, no. The crow goes out of his mouth because that's how he got the power, and the crow pecks his eyes out, and then his son takes him home, and then the bad guy lives just with no eyes. So, and then Naruto dies. The main protagonist dies at the end of this game. And let me repeat that. The main antagonist gets away, but the main protagonist dies. And let me say this again. He has his army. He has a whole army. And they're still around. He's not lost any of his men. He's lost quite a few, but not all. So what the fuck is stopping him from attacking them again? It's a little nitpick because this game has a lot of little nitpicks, and if I could say that I would be here all day, and I don't want to be talking about that game for this long. Anyway, so afterwards Naruto dies and you're supposed to feel sad and you're out, and you end up saying, is there anything more after this? Because if not, I'm just going to turn the game off and sell it. And that's the game in a nutshell. It's completely forgettable, completely unnecessary, and I can see where they were going with this, but I just can't respect this game at all. It's a bland, boring game with nothing special, bland as hell main characters, boring as hell gameplay, just generic, boring. And that's all I can say for this game. It's not worth playing. I would not recommend it to anybody who's got a PlayStation 3. No, you're not going to buy a PS3 in the first. If you're going to buy a PS3 in the first game you buy his Heavenly Sword, you're going to be disappointed. So, in that said, this has been Mike. I'm Marth. This has been Marth, and my buddy Mike is somewhere around here. And this was our first rant/review of the Travesty Heavenly Sword. So, good night, ladies and gentlemen, and don't play Heavenly Sword.